Hi everyone, welcome back to Cello Tips. So today we are going to talk about traveling with a cello, more specifically flying on an airplane with a cello. This is a subject that there doesn't seem to be a lot of information about available on the internet, and it's something that I've gotten a bit of practice doing over the past many years. So I thought I would come and give you my experiences and my advice, what's the easiest way to go about doing this and how to do it effectively so you don't run into any issues. So first things first, I highly recommend, if you have an instrument that is valuable to you, do not check the cello underneath in the airplane. Do not do this because it is very unsafe. When I was much younger and had a much less valuable instrument, I did this a few times on trips with a special travel case that was meant to be able to go underneath the airplane like that. And my cello was never completely destroyed, but there were times when I got it off the conveyor belt after I had landed, I opened the case and, for example, the bridge was lying on the floor of the case and all the strings had come undone, one of the strings had broken, So it's quite clear that it's not a safe method, and if you can at all avoid it, I highly recommend you do so. So the alternative, and the thing that most of us do, is we buy an extra seat on the airplane for the cello. Unfortunately, this is quite expensive, but that's sort of the only possibility that we have. So I've tried quite a few different airlines, and all of them have different requirements, different rules about having the cello on board with you in an extra seat. And due to these experiences, the one that I've found that is by far the most straightforward and the easiest, and the only one that I've never run into issues with, is United Airlines. This is obviously a completely unsponsored video. This is just my honest experience, honest opinion to you all. So I have now become quite a loyal member to United Airlines over the years, and it continues to be very straightforward with the cello, very easy, or as easy as it can be on an airplane. So the reasons that I do that, there are many, but one of the primary reasons is that on most airlines, you have to have the cello in the bulkhead seat. It has to be right up at the front of the airplane, and you have to be seated next to it. And the reason for that is because they're worried if your cello has a seat in front of it, the person using that seat won't be able to recline their seat back because the cello will be in the way. So most airlines, they require that you put it in the bulkhead, and which is fine. It's fine to sit in the bulkhead, but the problem is that it becomes very complicated in how to get yourself situated there, how to assign yourself those seats, because usually those seats are taken, or you're not able to do seat selection or something like this. So oftentimes you have to call the airline much in advance, and you go through sometimes hours and hours on hold, and it's a serious pain. So for that reason, as much as possible, I avoid the other airlines. On United Airlines, the cello does not have to be in the bulkhead, so that's great. It does have to be in a window seat, and you have to be seated next to it, and it can be in an exit row. Other than that, you're fine. Anywhere you want to sit, even in first class, you're fine. So on United, it's very simple. Since I travel quite frequently, it's very convenient to just go through the app on your phone. You can book the flights that way, and you can select your seats very easily. You just select for the cello, the window seat, and for you, the one next to it. And on that subject, a lot of people ask, well, how do I identify the ticket of the cello? I mean, when you purchase a ticket on an airline, you have to put your name, usually your age, sometimes your birthplace, your gender, passport number, whatever. And obviously a cello doesn't have any of these things. So what I do is I name the cello with the same last name as myself, Martins, and the first name I put as cello instrument, one word. So it's cello instrument Martins. And some of the flight attendants find that quite humorous. But some other people put extra seat than their last name, or cabin baggage than their last name. Any of these are fine. They all work just fine. And then for all of the information, birth dates, gender, stuff like this, you can just write your own information. Just as you put it for your own ticket, just put it for the cellos as well. And that works fine. So now, once you've booked your tickets and you're all set to go, when you arrive at the airport, there are a few important tricks that I've learned over the years to make it as seamless as possible. So first, it's important to be aware when you go through security, since the cello is oversized, usually they will have to take your instruments away to another oversized belt while you go through the regular security, which is not ideal, but I've never had any issues. They've always been pretty careful with it. Sometimes they'll let you, if the belts will fit it, your normal security belt will fit the cello, then you can just put it through there. But usually with the modern day conveyor belts, they don't fit on the normal ones, so they have to take it elsewhere. But then they will bring it back to you after you've gone through security. So that's usually fine. I've never had any issues there. So once you get through security, and whether you've printed out your boarding passes or you have it on your phone, either way is fine. When you're about to board and you come up to scan your tickets, first things first, would tell the person at the desk the magic words, which are, I have an extra seat for this. Simple as that. Just say, I have an extra seat for this. And they shouldn't be able to object to that. And then, this is something I learned quite recently. Then you're gonna scan your 2 tickets. But sometimes the airline attendants will request for you not to scan the cello seat, to just scan your own seat. And then they will do something on the computer to put the cello in, and then they will tell you to go. This causes tons of problems. Tons of problems. Because when they do this, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but every time this has happened to me, and they don't scan on the scanner the cello's ticket, when I come back on the return flight or on the next leg of a after a layover or something, the cello's ticket, the cello's reservation will have disappeared. Sometimes they'll even have filled in that seat with another person, and then you're really in trouble. So it's crucial that your cello's ticket gets scanned along with your own. And the easiest way to do this, I found, it's a little trick, is when you go up to scan it and you tell them I have an extra seat for this, immediately first scan your cello's seat, not your own seat. Scan first your cello seat, and then they won't have any option because you have to scan yours after that. So it will already be scanned, and then scan your ticket, and then you're good to go. Then you will go enter, and as you're getting onto the airplane, now is the time for the second phrase, the second magical phrase. When the airline attendants, the flight attendants see you entering the plane, often they'll start to get a very nervous look on their face when you're bringing this instrument, because they're thinking, oh, we have no space for that. It's not going to fit in the overhead or whatever. So just tell them, hello, I have an extra seat for this instrument. Could I please have an extension seat belt to strap it in? That's the magical phrase. Because then they know you have the extra seat, and then by telling them that you need an extension seat belt, which that's in their policy, by the way. That's their policy that the cello has to be strapped in to the seat. By saying that, it shows that you are knowledgeable about this, you've done this many times before, you're very experienced in it. Then they will immediately trust you, in my experience. They will give you the extension seat belt, and then you go to the seat, place your cello in first, obviously, by the window, and then sit down yourself. And I found when strapping it in with the extension seat belt, it's best if you have some sort of handle on the side of the case like this here. Put the seat belt through the handle and then around the front, and that will look extra secure, and they'll be even more satisfied with you. So then after that, you're all good to go. Exiting the aircraft, there's no issues there. So those are the few tips and tricks I've learned over the years of doing this a lot. Another frequently asked question is, can you get frequent flyer miles for your seat with the cello? Unfortunately, you cannot. That's the current policy with United, and I think for most airlines. Perhaps there's some airline you can, I don't know of any, but that's the current rule for United, is that you cannot get extra frequent flyer miles for your cello seat. Of course, you can get them for yourself, as anybody else would. And also, yes, on United, you do have to pay a full price for your cello seat, just as if you would pay for another person. So, yes, there's a few inconveniences about this, but this way that I've just described it, just explained to you guys, it's really quite seamless. It's worked for me. I travel very frequently, and these days I almost never run into issues with these steps that I've learned to follow very precisely. So I hope that this video is of help to you all, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and good luck to all of you. Bye.